Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the Boston Celtics go down at home 101-89 to the Milwaukee Bucks, defending world champion Milwaukee Bucks, if I might add. And Giannis reminded us why that is the case, because he was unstoppable. Not overly efficient, 9 of 25, but assists. He was getting the ball to everybody, just like he did in Chicago. He did that here today, and he got bench production from behind the arc, which was key because his starters were not shooting the ball very well. But when you get high percentage shooting out of Pat Connaughton and Grayson Allen once again, that helps tremendously. So them shooting that ball, plus just a nice game from guys like Bobby Portis. Good game, even though he didn't shoot as well as you'd like to see. Um, you know, you got good production from Drew Holiday. Of course, he played very well, giving you not only scoring but of course defense as usual. Um, Brooke Lopez played very well. But the thing about it was this. This is what I'll say about this game. When you're facing injury, like Ime Udoka was, I know it's the playoffs, and in the old NBA, you can play hard players. We look back in the past, Kobe played hurt. You look and see games where Willis Reed will come back hobbling, and you just say, that's rough, that's tough, that's how it's supposed to be. All right, we respect that. But here's the problem with that mentality. There's two problems with that mentality. One, the NBA is too deep for that today. You could get away with that because your last guy could barely dribble and shoot in the past. Today, you have more talent to give you some more help. You don't need to do that. And two, you also understand that even they knew they were putting players on the floor that could be taken advantage of, guys who could be shooting liabilities. In other words, they're hurt, so they're going to be hobbled, which means you're going to have a certain leg of your team while they're on the floor that's going to be less than or hobbled. Things like that. And that's what you saw. Marcus Smart wasn't able to shoot. He was 1 for 7 from behind the arc because most of the time he was out there hobbling, trying to play through injuries that he needed to sit through. Just multiple injuries, like multiple seriously messed up injuries. They said he had a stinger with the shoulder. It looked like it was out of socket, but they ruled it as a stinger. So take that for what it's worth. And then from there, he ended up having some type of other leg growing issue or something where he seemed like he re-aggravated it as he was trying to get off of the floor after falling on his backside. And Ume just left him out there. And then you see a situation with Robert Williams, something similar, where he was having issues. He had gotten hurt. I think his leg was hurt or something. He had hurt his groin, and nobody called a timeout. They didn't foul anybody, didn't stop the play. He's getting up, trying to play defense on the thing, and I'm like, yo, if this is a tear or something, you do understand that he's probably re-aggravating it even further while you guys are trying to figure out whether or not you want to stop the clock. I mean, it's just the Boston Celtics, like I said, I'm a Laker fan, so I know what it means to believe in hard, play through injury, and you're a warrior, you play through it. I get it. But that's not the smartest way to coach. It's the second round with the first game of the second round. That's not the smartest way to coach, man. And as an organization, you got to get hurt players off of the floor so that they don't hurt you on the floor. And so that's what it was, man. Giannis was able to take advantage of that. You got to give credit to the Boston Celtics, to the Milwaukee Bucks defense, because they really clamped down on those Boston Celtics and made sure that their game plan just was effective. Jaylen Brown was 4 of 13, if I'm not mistaken. They did a good job on him. Here's the thing, though, for Jaylen Brown. You got to attempt more shots. I respect that, Jason Tatum is the top guy. He attempted 18 shots. That's cool. He didn't really have it going, but he ended up getting his percentage up. Okay, that's fine. Good. But Jaylen Brown is a guy who shouldn't have too many shots less than Jason Tatum. If Jason Tatum's taking 18, I need Jaylen to take 16. And I just didn't see him be aggressive enough. Granted, he didn't have it going. Foul trouble might have had something to do with that. I'm not really certain. But with the time he was on the floor, he did have some fantastic plays. Big time putback earlier in the game. Highlight, great. But you just don't see enough production for what it is they were faced with Giannis Antetokounmpo just doing what Giannis does and then him getting a lot of help from his guys. So I thought the Boston Celtics did themselves no favors by shooting the three too many times. 53-point shots on the game, that's not cutting it. You're shooting in the mid 30s percentile. Okay, that's a fair percentage, but the percentage doesn't match the volume. You're shooting too much. So you got to scale that back and try to get in the paint. You know, you're giving up a lot of points in your paint. Obviously, Giannis was able to eat and is going to continue to. That's not going away. I don't think they can overcome what it is that he's doing. And judging by what I saw on their faces, they're concerned about what they're going to have in terms of being able to stop him too. And that's another thing about the Boston Celtics tonight. They just didn't have the body language that I thought I was going to see from that team. They look a little more shell-shocked than they should have. And like I told you guys at the end of the video that I had in regards to that preview, they are going to have to just stay together, not go on these long scoring droughts, because Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, even though they're very fantastic players on both sides of the floor, neither one of them are shooters. And Jason Tatum could be considered a shooter, but he's not consistent enough to be considered a shooter for me. He's a shot maker. Jaylen Brown, shot makers. They need, Derek White, shot makers. They're going to need to find some cohesiveness in their offensive game, particularly when Marcus Smart is not on the floor, because he does so much for their offense, passing the rock around and getting people in position. So that's going to be something I'm paying attention to. How does their offense stay together now that he's possibly going to miss time? And see, when you start plucking players from this matchup with the Celtics side of things, now you start looking at evening up the balance of talent on either side. And just from what we saw tonight, Milwaukee's others are giving them a lot. So Boston's others are going to have to come through. The Peyton didn't shoot well enough tonight for what it is that they're faced with, things like that. They're going to have to be more efficient of a scoring team, and they're going to have to take their possessions more seriously. They got beat on the boards tonight. I'd imagine that's going to continue as well, especially with Robert Williams now being hobbled to some degree. So, I like what I saw from Al Horford. He was fantastic as always, especially defensively. He's going to be considered somebody that, helps him with facilitating the basketball, keeping their offense going. But ultimately, I am very, very concerned about the Boston Celtics. And you can't remove those two players, not Robert Williams and Marcus Smart. And while they still will probably try to give it a go, it's very obvious that they're under 100% and need to be set for now. Boston seems to want to play these hurt guys, and that's not smart, man. I'm telling you, no pun intended, that is not smart. Because at the end of the day, it's just the beginning, man. Y'all going to need these guys for the rest of the series and then some if you move on. And that is in jeopardy. That body language did not look good. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, stay aggressive. Coach Udoka, Smart is the way to go, man. That's what is going to win the series for you, not being relentlessly tough. Relentlessly tough is not going to beat out the relentlessly intelligent. You know what I mean? And it's that simple. Giving up too much out there, in terms of boards, 3-point shots, missed possessions, turnovers, 18 of them. Not going to cut it. Not going to cut it. You're giving the ball up too many times for the inefficiency of your shooting. Stuff like that. So I'm just looking at the Boston Celtics to say, okay, y'all dropped the ball and you got hit with injuries. Guys didn't look like they were confident out there, and they gave up home court advantage. So it's a lot of stuff that the Boston Celtics need to go back to the drawing board and figure out. And they need to figure it out right now because they didn't look good out there. They didn't look like they were prepared for Giannis. They didn't put up the defensive walls that I thought I would see. Physicality wasn't available. It just wasn't there, man. It wasn't there. Got to give credit to the Milwaukee Bucks and Mike Budenholzer for putting together a style of play with their limited situation that has worked. Worked against the Chicago Bulls, and it's worked against Milwaukee in Game 1. Milwaukee also needs to understand the same thing I said in Chicago. You got to make sure that Giannis doesn't get overcrowded. I understand that he can go for 100 if you don't double him. But you got to understand that his game is in a place where if you do double and triple him, he's going to find the open shooter. He's always been a good passer. He's never had an issue with that. They've been teaching him how to be a point guard since they first drafted this dude. So he already had point guard skills before he could do anything else. You got to understand that. Do not think for a second that crowding him leaves you the best opportunity of guarding his team. It doesn't. Not when Grayson's shooting like this. No. Heck no. Because I think this can continue. Grayson Allen is turning into an efficient shooter, and he's not getting the respect he deserves as that. You are seeing someone in these playoffs that is shooting very, very efficiently. Okay? So all this way of playing him, the way I've been seeing the Celtics play him, the Celtics play him, and the way I saw Chicago play him, or leaving him open, trailing off of him, not putting good defenders on him, he's going to torch you. This dude is very, very tough mentally. He will torch you. He's not going to go away. I'm starting to understand that this is a trend. It's not an aberration. He can keep this up, and I expect him to at this point. The Bucks are in a good spot, man. I'm not going to lie. Given the fact that Chris Middleton is out, you want to see your team get a mental edge. You want to see yourself win the boards. You want to see yourself win the three-point edge. And you want to see yourself put up more points, obviously, than the other team. But specifically because of the fact that you are missing points, you want to see that you have overcome whatever offensive talent Boston is putting on the floor. So Milwaukee takes not only the game, but they also take the mental edge. Simple as that. And I'd imagine if Boston doesn't take game 2, this series is going to feel real good to the Milwaukee Bucks fans. Let me tell you, I don't know what Udoka's his adjustments will be in terms of, like, in my mind, what can he do to keep Giannis from going crazy like he did in that first game. And like I said, it's gonna require them to build walls. It really is. You have to use Al Horford. First of all, as I've been hinting, the Celtics are gonna have to commit to sitting Marcus Smart and Williams if they don't improve their health overnight. They got a day off tomorrow, and then game 2 is on Tuesday. If they're not right, like not only healthy but able to keep up with the rhythm of things, if they're not right, you gotta sit them. You have to. Because if Marcus Smart is just as much of a liability as he was tonight, that's going to have the same effect in game 2. It's going to have the exact same effect. So he is too important of a player. I would let him sit for this particular game. And even if he's good to go, I still would not play him. The way that he looked out there, he's dealing with multiple injuries. You got to play it smart. So that's my whole takeaway. That is literally my whole takeaway. I know I had another point, but it left me. I hate when that happens, but it does. But yeah, that's just what I took away in total. Too many 3-point shots for the Bucks. For the Celtics. And got to give credit to the Bucks for forcing turnovers. Rather, I think they had 11 steals as a team. Both teams were pretty balanced in regards to that. You'd like to see both teams take care of the basketball more so. So, all in all, you just want to see more efficiency. If you got to pick and choose from Milwaukee, you want them to shoot the ball better too, especially those starters. Portis, Brook Lopez, Wesley Matthews was 1 for 7 from Tracy, and that's another thing. I think that as the series progresses, obviously Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown are going to shake that off. You're not going to see them struggle like this all series long, I don't suspect. I'm looking at that matchup with Wesley Johnson. I'm saying, look, I don't believe in him defensively, even though everybody's saying he's a fantastic defensive player. I've seen some good defensive sequences, but not against athleticism like this. If he's not shooting well, he's going to have to be removed from the series, man, especially with Grayson playing this well and Pat playing this well. Those 2 NBA champions. I trust them. I do. And Wesley's moment-to-moment for me because I had him on my team. I know what he can do. I know what he cannot do. And while he's in much better shape right now, this is not the series to be letting him shoot 7 3-point shots and only one of them fall. That you're not going to get away with that most nights. So the Bucks are lucky to win this game, but I do think they need to uptick their own efficiency as well. And understand, this defense is coming at you. Don't get it twisted. They're not going to always play this bad. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see these scores flipped in the next game because the Celtics are that good, but they're going to have to make some tough decisions, and one of them is not to be so tough, but to be so more so smart. So that's what I got. BDF 44. I'm going to go check out this other game. And I'm thankful that you all checked me out. Peace.